Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Tower Dive. I'm your host, Dota. Joining me today is team captain of Rift Dragon / attack damage carry / stats keeper extraordinaire, Okina. Also is team Darkspark captain and mid laner TDS Epic, support player for Rift Dragons, Waki, headcaster for Duo Esports, and Master Chef Voslo, and our very own Duo Esports caster, and the only League of Legends analyst that doesn't read patch notes, Headspace. So, alright, so first question, boys. We saw EQ Storm go 0-2 last weekend. Not very close games, we'll be honest, against Darkspark and Rift Dragons. Thank you for joining us. So is this the beginning of the end for them? We'll start with you, Okina.
So, honestly, I think it was kind of just an off week for them. You know, I still think Zenfado and Blues are a really good bot lane, and based on looking at the Darkspark game and from playing against them, it kind of just felt like having no bans hurt them a lot more than it should have. But I still feel like they're a really good team, and it's definitely somebody that we're looking to compete for top 2, 3 in our group. So they're definitely still a scary team. So I definitely wouldn't count them out.
Okay, yeah. Epic?
Yeah, honestly, I think they're going to bounce back as well. I think the combination of losing their bans and a lot of people saying getting upset by Team Darkspark, I guess it kind of shocked their mental, and it kind of tumbled into the Rift Dragons game. But I don't think they're a bad team. I think they're kind of an unprofessional team, but I think they're a really strong team, so I think they'll bounce.
Side question, did you think it was an upset?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I had a very strong feeling we were going to win that game going into it.
Okay, a little gut feeling, a little inkling, if you will. Alright, Headspace, your thoughts?
Since I was the one that casted both of their games, I will say it did look like they were tilted when they were facing Rift Dragons. Rightfully so. Losing 5 bans really does hurt you in your ability to, make smart draft. In addition, I also kind of feel like they were more tunneling in terms of their preparation for Rift Dragons, and when they faced Team Darkspark, the combination of no bans and honestly, I kind of felt like they just put themselves in a trap game against Team Darkspark. So I do think that they will bounce back, like what Okina and Epic has said before, but doesn't look good though for going through the rest of the season in terms of their image.
Alright, Voslo.
I don't think it's much of an upset. I think realistically, a lot more of Dragon Division is a lot more evenly paced, and I don't really think that there's really one team that's above another. I think if there is, it might be Rift Dragons, but even then, I still think that they can lose games to other teams that are like probably Aether, PSW, TDS, EQS. I think can all take games off of each other. SRC and SMD are not looking so hot right now. SRC not doing well, and SMD just non-existing. So with that in mind, I really don't think of it as an upset. I think all 5 teams are like just kind of doing what they can.
Okay, yeah. Waki?
I'm going to kind of echo what Okina said earlier, but I played against the EQ's bot lane 4 or 5 times in the different leagues, and it's a very classic bot lane where just they can't get ahead without their jungler. It's happened a lot where they play through bot side, but only if they can get a good early gank, and if they don't, we've seen consistently, at least from past leagues we played in, that like they just hard lose. I think most of the bot lanes I played against on Dragon's side so far, they were just kind of average. And I think as teams play against them more and recognize just what they constantly do and punish it, kind of like what we did and what TDS did, it becomes a lot easier. I think the no bans definitely contribute to it, and I think the games would be more competitive because they ban things like Jarvan and stuff against us, and I'm not sure about TDS, but it wouldn't change the actual outcome if you started actually understanding just like how linear and basic the way they play are.
Okay, yeah. No, good.
Yeah, I can agree with, like, quick side note, our AD carry and our both our we had our other AD carry and support watching our game too, and they said that their weakest link was their bot lane, so that's what we continue to play off of.
Can I give like a scouting tip for any teams?
Yeah, do it. Do it. Nah, expose.
So if you play against Symphonic, it's funny as I'm not sure if I can curse. So it's funny as heck because
I appreciate you, but it's okay.
if he plays Nautilus, he's serviceable, but anything else, he just kind of just is there, you know?
A trash can.
Nautilus, it's actually super scary. His Nautilus is actually like giving me some fucking nightmares, man. But if you get him off Naut, it's actually super easy to play into.
Okay. Well, there's your hot take from Walkie. Their bot lane is a trash can if you don't get it from Nautilus. Got it. All right. We'll make sure that'll be the title of the video. So I guess I'll kind of. Seems like we're all in agreement here that EQ Storm aren't out. They're not done. This isn't game over. The beginning of the end. But I think we also all agree that the bot lane looked very, very weak. A couple of you guys think that's the weakest part of them. I think they just. I'm not super sure. I haven't seen enough games, watched them closely enough to say that. But definitely last week they looked pretty horrendous. Ezreal and MF on Jules, he had abysmal damage. Yumi almost outdamaged him when he played Ezreal, and then MF, who is a very broken ADC right now, very good in lane, and then super good out of lane. Just press R, and you can do top damage in the game basically. And he was like 5th, I think, most damage in the game. So that's pretty bad, I'll be honest. And same thing with None on Talia. It was just made me raise some eyebrows on that pick and the way they played it. So definitely off week plus loss of bans is going to make anyone look, a low tier team. But I do think they'll bounce back. Will they resume, pick up that #1 spot again? Don't know. That might be Rift Dragon's sole spot for at least the time being, possibly till the end of the season. But we'll wait and see on that. So we'll go ahead and roll into the second question. This weekend is beginning a cross-conference play. I think super big, super exciting. Got a total of 16 matches incoming this weekend between Friday, 7 p.m. EST, twitch.tv/DueEsports, Saturday and Sunday. Which conference do you think will fare better this weekend? And what do you think will be the final win count for each group? We'll go with you, Okina, again.
So, not gonna lie, I'm kind of more focusing on that 16 matches number as a stats man. That's a scary number right there. 16 matches of stats to do. But honestly,
It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, I know. But honestly,
Match history is still down, KEKW.
it should be fixed by tomorrow. But
Okay.
honestly, we play Galaxy Gaming and PSB first week, so we get arguably the two best teams of with pretty early. Honestly, the only team that has impressed me from Baron has been PSB, and I feel like PSB kind of just says that Baron's better just so that they look better, but I feel like both divisions are kind of equal in skill.
Ooh,
I
I don't
feel
like
like-
that answer at all.
I mean, we'll see this weekend who's right, but I feel like both divisions are kind of even. Maybe Baron's a little bit better, but I don't feel like it's that drastic of a difference between the divisions. And I feel like this weekend it'll be kind of even. Like I said, the only team I'm really afraid of would be PSB from Baron's side.
Yeah. No. Epic.
Yeah, so I'm kind of new to Duel altogether, but I've kind of read the general chats and some like the veterans that have been playing in different seasons that they're saying that Baron is stronger, or at least they're more competitive. But honestly, some bias is coming through.
No.
Is going to come out with more wins after the crossplay. Dragon has a lot more scrappier teams, and after what we saw last week, especially with the top two teams losing, and there was no team that looked invincible. So honestly, I think Dragon's pretty scrappy, and I think we're going to come out with more wins.
You thinking Dragon's gonna overtake Baron in the wins?
I think Dragons will come through. I think the top 3-4 teams in Dragons is significantly better than Baron.
Wow.
Upon Sacrifice Black is the only one that is probably contendable.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Dragon's gonna come out with more wins. I think there's a lot more scrappier players, and I think it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Okay. Well, there was a collective pearl clutching motion from every Baron player just then. But Headspace, your thoughts?
Okina, Epic, Walkie. There's a reason why the Elemental Dragons and Elder Drake got changed this season. Is because Dragon Division sucks. They're bad. Baron's better. Has not been touched for the past couple of years. It's because Baron rules. And honestly, yeah, I do think Baron Division is trying to get more games out of Dragon, but I think it's going to be really close. That it's probably just going to be a 1 or 2 game difference in terms of the win column on the side of Baron, in my personal opinion. Because, yeah, I agree, teams are more scrappier, but let's be perfectly honest, right? You guys have had 2 free teams on the side of Dragon, whereas all the teams on Baron are straight up bloodthirsty to, pad their KDAs against you guys. Because honestly, I think Dragon is weaker than Baron, like straight up facts.
You have AOP that's 0 and 6.
have you-
How is that competitive?
Have you seen all one lane?
Hold on. So AOP left the season right before after it started. They were not able to they had conflicts with their scheduling, and they decided that they were just going to bow out immediately. They realized that it wasn't going to work for them, so they left. So, announcement. AOP is being replaced this week with a team called Shadow Mustangs Unleashed. So, there's going to be a new team coming in as well into the Baron division, and I still think Baron is stronger.
Oof. Oof.
I'm gonna just comment real quick. I think that team definitely could make more competitive games with even Rift Dragons and Team Darkspark, in my personal opinion, right? Just because the level of the league, right? Yeah, sure, they might get a rude awakening in the beginning, but eventually they're probably going to be able to, hit top 4 at the very least, as long as they're playing really consistently. Obviously, we don't know yet, but I kind of feel like this is one of those weeks in which they should definitely be able to take away from.
Okay, Headspace. Quick side note, and then we'll keep going. I just gotta hear the spicy comment. If Rift Dragons, the current #1 Dragon team, was in Baron Division, where would you put them in the standings?
Them, top 3. Number 1, 2, or 3 could be up for debate. I definitely think that Galaxy Dragon Gaming, along with Pawn Sacrifice Black, are the 2 best teams in both leagues combined, period, in my personal opinion. I think Rift Dragons is definitely up there for number 3. Team Darkspark, probably like 5 or 6. No offense, guys. I'm sorry, Epic. But I don't know. That's where I see them.
Okay, got it. Bossel, your thoughts?
So I think Baron is stronger. I think Baron is also very top heavy. I think that the top 3 teams in that division are above and beyond better than the rest of the ones in the division. We also don't know much about Shadow Mustangs Unleashed coming in yet. So it's possible that Dragon can come away with more wins because their top 5 teams are probably can get more wins off of the other 4, but we don't know much about Shadow Mustangs Unleashed, so it's really hard to tell. But I really am looking forward to the way that Solar Phoenix plays against the Dragon divisions, because their entire style of playing differs from pretty much the entire rest of the league. Their top laner is a main primary carry for them, and is probably the only team to have that. And something that a lot of teams are not going to be prepared for, is something that they're just not going to be playing around properly. So I want to see how they're going to fare, and PSB's immense aggro style and the way that their mid laner can hard carry them through almost every situation. And GGD has been a pretty surplus team. They have one of the best mid laners in probably the entire league, and just a decent bot lane, and they've just been fantastic as it's come out through this, and their only losses to PSB, right?
Yeah.
So,
Who? Galaxy Gaming? Galaxy Gaming lost to Solar Phoenix too.
oh, did they? Yep. So,
Oh, yeah.
so they're 2 losses now, looking at old standings. F. We're in new standings, Dota, first of all. Second
First off, it's Shuno, and I've reminded him. But, yeah, I agree with that. TK gap is a real thing. It exists. It should be on the elemental table because it is, it's so real.
If I may, the mid laner of GGD, Kakari, was on RUB last season, and solo.
Kakari's the GDD mid laner?
Yes.
Oh, yes! I'm sorry.
All right.
First of all, his name is last season. His name was Kaizo, and solo killed TK Gap himself. Probably the best mid laner in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I have some backstory on that, but I'll say that for another time.
I'm about to say, not to denote from Kakari. Kakari is a fantastic mid laner in his own right, but I think Totemax is able to transition his lead a lot better into the later stage of the game, where Kakari is a lot better in lane.
So when they play the 1v1, TK might have to play with 2 hands. Got it. Not a big deal. I'm sure he can manage. Waki, what's your thoughts?
I kind of agreed a lot with Boss. Feels bad. I think Dragons has 2 good teams. I'll leave it up in the air of what those 2 teams are. Whereas PSB or Baron has 3 good teams. but I think the bad teams in Dragons are better than the bad teams on Baron. It's very top heavy on Baron.
Okay.
The gap, like watching them play is so funny. Like some of the plays they make are actually so fundamentally bad. It feels like I'm watching a BSG league. Overall, I think I'm excited for this weekend mainly because we're playing the two supposed good teams from Baron, and I'm not really nervous about either one. I think just as time moves on, it'll obviously like show like who's actually better between the divisions. I think if I were to predict it, I think because we're playing the two top teams and we're better, that Dragons is going to come up higher this week. But I think most of the top tiers in Baron division can just beat Dragon. I think EQS loses to PSB. I think PSB also beats TDS and PSW. Same with Solar Flare and Galaxy Gaming. I feel like Dragon's going to be hard carried by the Rift Dragons. The division's named after us for a reason. And so I'm not really too concerned about the rest of the division. I know that we'll end up on top of the whole league. And I'm not too worried about like which division is better because fundamentally we'll have the best team in the division on our division.
Okay.
Division.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay. So, my take on it. I just did a quick little 2-minute look at the Excel spreadsheet. Basically wrote B for Baron, D for Dragon, who I thought was going to win. I came out to 8 Baron wins, 5 Dragon wins, and I did 4 unknowns. 3 of the unknowns were the new team Vosslo was talking about, Shadow Mustangs, and then I did 1 unknown for some random club versus MG, Midnight Gaming. So I think those 4 are going to play huge. If Shadow Mustangs is a really good team, well, obviously that's going to completely swing it into one way or the other. If they're the worst team we've ever seen and they go 0-3, then obviously it's going to be a lot closer than we thought. But I do think Baron is the better division. Again, mostly top heavy, and Pawn Sacrifice do have quite a bit of games, and so do GGD, who are super good. And I think right now, to me, the swing matches that are going to be super close could go either way, and then obviously will make a huge difference in the Baron versus Dragon final score count. Is going to be Pawn Sacrifice, Civil War, GGD versus Rift, Pawn Sacrifice versus Rift, and then finally EQ Storm versus Solar Phoenix. Those are my 4, like, not super sure where they'll go, but obviously it'll have a huge impact. So I'm going to go with Baron for now, but a little annotation there at the bottom of my prediction. All right, so last question is, which will be the match of the week this coming weekend? We have 3 days of streaming, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so a lot more choices to pick from. Okina, we'll go with you again.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious to me that it's the Pawn Sacrifice battle. Like, I've heard from PSP that Pawn Sacrifice White sometimes takes games off them in scrims.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we get to see some of that scrim magic from PSW on stream. Not gonna lie, PSW kind of didn't strike me as being Pawn Sacrifice Black level, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just know each other so well that they can take games off each other. But I'm really interested to see that matchup, and that's probably going to be, if anything, the match of the season is those two playing against each other.
Yeah, no, 100%. Epic?
So probably, in my opinion, it's Pawn Sacrifice versus Rift Dragons. I think that is going to be, you could say that those are, at the moment, they're the top 2 teams of each division, so it'll be interesting to see them clash. Or I think this one is not on stream, this is off stream, but I think TDS versus Solar Phoenix. So I'm not sure if you guys have been paying attention, but we have done very, very unorthodox things with our roster. We have a number of players that we've been playing around with. So I think the combination of Solar Phoenix and how they play, and then not knowing what we're going to bring to the table on that day, is very, very unorthodox. And I think, even though it's an off-stream game, I think that could be a potential look into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a very fantastic game. But the Pawn Sacrifice Rift Dragons, that's my go-to, and I'm looking forward to watching that.
100% agree. Headspace. Well, all right, Vosslo.
I mean,
Oh, there you are.
yeah, what Okina and Epic both said it's that Pawn Sacrifice Black against Rift Dragons game, but let's be perfectly honest, Baron's better, so Pawn Sacrifice destroyed.
Boo.
Are you predicting like what pre-25-minute win PSB?
I'd say Rift Dragons will probably get flanked by the Reverend Top, as we all know, as we're talking about here, and they'll probably throw the game. That's how I think it's gonna. That's how I think the game's gonna end.
All right.
Pawn
I
Sacrifice Black
actually
victory.
put it in my roster, so we actually get bans.
Wait.
Last week, so we can actually ban the Riven.
Ooh.
However, PSB also has bans, so you have to be careful.
Oh
of that.
no!
Oh.
Last week they
Oh,
won their
no.
games without
I will say-
bans,
I
so
will
just
say
want
one
you to
thing,
remember
though.
that.
Hey, Pawn Sacrifice Black, quick message. If you guys lose after I'm hyping you guys up, I'm gonna be really pissed off at you.
All right, boss.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm gonna have to rebuttal. I don't think PSB has a real star aided carry. But
That's true. Dota is really good. Yes.
my game of the week is gonna be EQS versus Solar Phoenix. It's gonna be the last game of Saturday. It's gonna be on stream, which will be really good to see. I want to see how EQ Storm bounces back from their last week's blunder and see how they can perform against Solar Phoenix, which is going to be an entirely different style of team from one that they've faced throughout most of their entire division. I think Solar Phoenix is a different style of play. Their top laner is a fantastic carry for their team and has literally pulled the rest of their team out of the dumpster to one game as York. And frankly, I look forward to seeing it again. Jodway is a monster, and he was a monster back when he first played in Duo in Season 3, and I look forward to seeing how he plays again.
Yeah, that's true. It'll also be, I think both teams are second place in their division, group, whatever. So, battle of the number twos. Battle of the bridesmaids, we'll call it. Waki, your thoughts?
I mean, when you have the battle of the fucking brides themselves, number one, that has to be the match of the week. I feel like fundamentally, when you have the best team in Dragon, the best team in Baron, clashing heads, taking names, it's definitely gonna be the one that I'm the most excited for, and I think the viewers are probably also gonna be looking out for. But the pawn sacrifice battle also is something that I'm very curious about, because I've also heard the scary thought that is pawn sacrifices in scrim, or pawn sacrifice white in scrims. So maybe it's a classic CLG Ruin or Golden Glue situation where they have the scrim gods, and up against their sister team, they're playing comfort. So I think that PSB might just go 0-2 this week, which would be
Ooh.
funny with this whole hype that you've been
Ooh.
producing.
Bold, sir.
They just lost the series in the finals. You can't just beat up these people after that.
Jesus Christ, just kick them down the steps. Alright, so, for off-stream, I'm going to go with Rift Dragons versus Galaxy Gaming Dragons. It's definitely a battle to see who's the better Dragon team. And number two, because I believe they currently have the same win-loss record. So it should be a pretty good opportunity to judge if Baron and Dragon, who's the stronger one, because even though they are the first place seed, still the same record, so kind of going with that angle. But for on-stream, gotta go with Pawn Sacrifice Civil War. No, it's not because I'm a Pawn Sacrifice fanboy. That's not it. But Pawn Sacrifice White have showed that they are a solid team when they have their starters present, which, like you guys said, sometimes they're a little off, usually because they don't have their starters present. Now, PSB, I think, are the superior team on paper. Well, that's not even my opinion. That's fact. They are the superior team on paper. You take the five of them, put them individually against PSW, I think all five are better. But you got to remember, these teams have played against each other a ton of times, and they've also swapped rosters, played together as friends and normals, been on teams together, and then one will go to black, one goes to white. They combine for a league, they split apart, yada yada. So these guys know each other inside and out for the most part. So PSW should know most of their plays, and, well, if anyone has paid attention, Pawn Sacrifice kind of run the same play every time. They fight you early, they fight you often, they skirmish you 2v2, 3v2, they try to beat you to the rotation, and they're like a battering ram. They know they're better than you in the 1v1 scale, so they're just going to keep punching until finally they break through. That's usually how they win their games, and it's worked for them, and it'll continue to work until someone either does something crazy, like we saw last weekend. Who was it that did the lane swap?
Galaxy Dragon.
Yeah, Galaxy Gaming. I thought it was a very good strategy because even though when you look at it, you're like, this is terrible. Lucian beats Vayne in lane. Why would you swap? Lissandra probably beats Wukong in lane. Why would you swap? You're just kind of hurting yourself. But they knew if we trade punches back and forth, we're going to lose. Can't trade punches with Mike Tyson. You got to do something new. You got to bob, weave, try something new. That's what they did. And it looked pretty good for the most part. And then Pawn Sacrifice did Pawn Sacrifice things and just ran at them. So I think PSW should have something in store for them. Maybe an off-meta pick, a flex pick, some kind of new rotation macro game. Because they've had time to prepare because they haven't really had much going on except Duo. Meanwhile, Pawn Sacrifice Black have been playing in other leagues in the playoffs, quarterfinals, and finals, so they haven't had too much time to cook something up, so they're going to pick their standard comfort picks, meta champions. So I think that's going to influence the outcome quite a bit. So those are my thoughts. I've been Dota. This has been episode 2 of the Tower Dive. I want to appreciate Rift Dragons, TDS, throwing some members here, Headcaster Voslo, as well as our caster/analyst Headspace for all joining us today. Remember, Cross Division Week starts this week, so we will have matches Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 7 p.m. EST, Twitch TV/Duo Esports. You can check this video out on YouTube. We'll probably post it on Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz. Again, thank you guys for joining. Hope you guys liked it, and we will see you guys next week on episode 3 of the Tower Dive.